and like it was a wild week in the SPTV universe. And so I thought it'd be really fun. Here she's back. Let's get Cassie Marie back. We wanted to
I
do
don't
an
even know if it worked, but
It did. I
it's
can see it
totally
did.
fine.
So go ahead and watch this. If you are watching on my channel, you can also give a like and a subscribe to Cassie Marie. She is No Culty Vibes here
Yep.
on YouTube's. And one of these days we'll be so technologically advanced that right when we say it, it'll pop up on the screen.
Yeah.
One day.
One day we'll get
One
it
day.
together.
Well, let's dive right in. Do you want to?
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about SPTV.
Yes. So Liz and I were chatting and we just thought it would be fun at the end of the week to do a roundup. There's so many SPTV channels now. I
Mhm.
tried to make a list of all of them and just a list of some of the videos that stood out to us this week, some of the
Yep.
major stories. So we're just gonna talk about some of them, chat about it. The first one that I think was kind of a big deal is Aaron and Relatable Reese, growing up in Scientology, and Relatable Reese doing their phone call breakdowns.
Did you listen to those in their
I
entirety? I mean, it's a
listened to
lot
like
of
half.
hours.
Yeah, it was a lot of hours. I did listen to a lot of it.
Uh-huh.
Can you give a breakdown of what it's all about, like what they were doing?
Sure. So Relatable Reese is a wonderful person who left Scientology not that long ago. She was, I mean, you could go to her channel, Relatable Reese, for the true from her mouth. But from what I understand, she
Mhm.
was accidentally outed as a connection with
Right.
Aaron. And then about 8 days later, she started receiving some phone calls. And those phone calls she recorded. So she had people, she was like not all the way out. She hadn't spoken out. These were people from different agencies within the church and her family calling her, trying to convince her to keep her mouth shut. And it
Yep.
was fascinating to hear those because as a third generation, growing up a third generation Scientologist, I heard the same things I had heard from my family in these calls. And yet at the time that I was actually like receiving those communications in that moment, I kept walking away going, gosh, I feel so weird. Like they were nice to me, but I feel like really depleted and like they were saying they love me, but they were telling me to shut up. And that was always the thing with my family. Like, we
Yeah.
really love you. You have a voice. You just really don't need to use it. And
Yeah.
of course, flash forward to being out of Scientology, that there's terms for these things. It's coercive manipulation, it's gaslighting. But to hear it now, whew, I don't know. My head almost
Yeah.
exploded. It was a lot.
I
It was
even
great.
felt, yeah, as someone who was in a very different like cult-like situation, the conversations that I had with my like business coach, cult leader that was trying to
Right.
start a cult, my exiting conversations with her sounded very similar.
Yeah.
So like it was even weird like hearing from Scientology like the manipulation and the gaslighting and all of that stuff and just being like I've had these conversations. Like, it was crazy.
I know. And so I'm like, good honor. And to have that
Yeah,
forethought to even, because it was like a perfect storm because she's in a state where she's
right.
legally allowed to do that, which is awesome. And then she's
Yeah,
also like had the foresight to do that. I wish I had done that because it's like when you have it happen in the moment, it means one thing. But then when you process and then later you look back at how you were treated, you're like, hey, I can't believe I fell for that the first time. Not that
right.
Reese fell for anything, but I fell for
Right.
things. Yeah. So they were doing every day. Are they done now? Do we know? Do they have more recordings to go through?
I'm not sure if I think they might be done with that round of recordings. I thought she said she might have said she had recordings with like another person. I'm
Okay.
not fully up to date on those, but you can, if you go to Relatable Reese's channel or Growing Up in Scientology's channel, you can
Mhm.
find the videos of them together. And I think on both of them, they're usually titled like
Gotcha.
phone call
Yeah.
with like some kind of like phone call. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
that was a big deal this
that was
week.
a big deal. That was a big deal. Mhm.
Another big deal this week was Liz Gale wrapping up her Liz's quizzes.
Who's that? Yes, thank you. Thanks for mentioning it. You guys, this was it. This was
Yeah.
my book debut for the whole week. Like
Mhm.
that was my thing. And I had come up with this quizzes before thinking that all the people in this chat would get all my questions wrong. They surprised the crap out of me, Cassie Marie. This is the most um I don't know how to explain it. You guys are hella educated. I love it. I love how
Yep.
much they know.
Yes.
Um so that's great. I am gonna do some more quizzes, but not every day. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So,
It was
Doug,
probably a lot for you, huh?
well, it was. I made them all beforehand, so I was ready to go. But I don't
Yeah,
think I could make one every day to go through. And then, of
right.
course, when I did Tony Ortega's, I had to have all new questions because I made that quiz
Yeah.
before I realized that everyone's a genius.
Did you
Should
make
have
them
had
harder for Tony?
I did. I made them. They were so obscure, and he was so on top of it. I was just like, okay.
He was. I was really shocked at some of the things that he knew, like,
I know,
literally
right?
off the top of his head. I was like, "Wow, he's
And
really
that's
on it."
right, and that's the thing, I really wanna tailor my quizzes to different people and just keep having people on. Serge, Del Mar from, what is his channel? I think his channel is his name. He's
Yeah.
all about, what is it? Exposing, crimes and abuses on to Scientology children, and he was technically
Mhm.
trained, so we're gonna do a technical quiz, like, about yeah,
Ooh,
I don't even know what to ask him because he's so more knowledgeable in that area, but I'm gonna make a
that's
quiz about the tech,
that'll
and
be
then
good to watch.
that'll be good, and then Doug Kramer is gonna come back,
Oh,
um,
good.
and I'm gonna step it up and really try and stump him with some of my cannabis questions. Cassie
Love it.
Marie, we should do you. We should do another one.
We should. I
Yeah, we
really
will.
liked your quiz. I thought
We
it
will.
was really fun. What was it like having a book launch, wrapping up the first week of your first ever book launch? You're a published
Oh,
author.
man, yeah. Thanks for asking. I'm really busy and important. No, it was a trip. I'll tell you that much. It was a wild ride. I think that I definitely surpassed all of my personal goals as far as just like book sales. I'm an indie author, so it's not like they were insane, but I felt really. You guys were so kind. Everybody in this on as a lot of people, you guys, you know who you are. Everybody in this chat, I think in particular, was just so incredibly supportive. Um, so yeah, so I'm an author.
And I mean, it
What
was still
happened?
I think you did amazing. Like, I think it was great. I think that it all went really well. I'm excited to have my physical copy. So,
Yes, I know, right?
it's cool.
I agree. I will also say that I had some very deep aha moments. Like I think I mentioned it
Yeah.
earlier that like my first like major crush actually was like I bought your book. And I don't know why, but like these weird synapses in my brains that have probably never fired were just like bing bing. It's like full circle.
That's
So
amazing.
weird.
Oh my
So
god.
weird.
I
Yeah. So
love
anyway.
that.
Yep. So what else
So,
happened?
speaking of yeah, and speaking of Serge, I loved his videos this week on Serge Del Mar's channel.
Mm-hmm.
He did a lot about Elizabeth Moss this week. I went on there and I noticed that there were a lot of like this last few days, he's
Mm-hmm.
posted Elizabeth Moss specific videos
Okay.
and talking about her and calling out the abuses of children in Scientology through the lens of Elizabeth Moss and Handmaid's Tale and what she is actually part of and speaks highly about and what she is promoting while also being a part of this show. And then I
Right.
think he did a live with Oh No Nora as well, where they did like a celebrity AMA.
Uh-huh.
He's been killing it on the celebrity videos in general. And like you're right, he's so knowledgeable about this
Yeah.
stuff. And we're TikTok friends as well. So I've been following him on TikTok for a while.
Yeah.
And I always ask him to chime in on my celebrity videos on TikTok. So
Right.
everybody go check out Serge Del Mar and look at
Mhm.
his Elizabeth Moss videos from the week. Did you
I'll,
get the chance to catch any of those?
I watched a little bit. I popped into one of the lives. I like how he brings it all like really full circle to put it on the celebrities, um, that it's like their responsibility because they're publicly a part of an organization. Like, they need to come out and stop it because there's abuses happening to children right under their noses. And he has a
Right.
very, I think, no nonsense approach with that. Whereas, like we talked about yesterday, sometimes I like waver and what is their responsibility and all these different things. And I really like his no nonsense approach.
I want to have Serge on and ask him the same questions I asked you in our video yesterday. Like, how do you feel? Do you think we should boycott them, and see how his like responses are different? For sure. I think that'd be very interesting.
I would tune in for that for sure.
Okay, and then I saw that Apostate Alex had a video this week with Chris Shelton, and it looked really interesting to me because it was about Scientology's financial schemes. And being from like a business coaching cult and in that world, all of Scientology's like business scams and financial things are fascinating to me. And I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it, but I wanted to mention it just because it stood out and it looked interesting. So definitely check out Apostate Alex's channel for that.
Yeah, that's on my list as well. No, I ended up down a different rabbit hole.
I know there's so much. That's why I like these. I love the idea of us doing these wrap-ups because there's so much to catch, and we need to, I think it's great to remind each other what everybody else is doing for the week.
Yeah, for sure.
Then for the Never Ends, for the SPTV Never Ends,
Yeah,
Marilyn had me on her channel this week, yesterday.
yeah.
Little self-promotion plug there. We talked about the cults that we were a part of because Marilyn and I figured out through watching each other on everybody's videos that we were both from Pentecostal rooted cults, and specifically Assemblies of God. So if you want to break from the Scientology content, we still talked plenty about Scientology during it, honestly. But if you want like a different cult, we kind of explained some of the language within Pentecostalism and these more Christianity based cults. So I personally thought it was fun and super interesting. So I recommend checking out Coffee, Cults, and Crafts. Cults, Coffee, Crafts? Coffee, Cults,
You know,
and
she
Crafts.
explained it to me, and it really, she did a great job. Coffee first, right?
Coffee first. Okay.
Yes, and then a cult sandwich. So cult is in the middle. It's a little cult sandwich, and then crafts. So it's coffee, cults,
Love
and
it.
crafts. But I still, yeah, it's hard because those are three of my favorite things as well, and it's hard for me to put them in
Same.
any particular order. I also want to give a shout out real quick to Goldie. Goldie, thank you so much. I see you in the chat working hard, putting up all the links of the things that we're talking about. Thank you so much, Goldie.
Oh, thanks, Goldie. That's so nice.
Super kind. Yeah.
That's so nice. I know I was going to try to go back after this and link to each of the channels that we talked about.
Right. Oh, look at this. Look.
The other thing.
Wait, stop. Look.
Oh, thanks, Marilyn. It was really fun. And we talked a lot about the crafts and the art and like what that meant to us through our cult journey and through leaving too. And I think that's such an important conversation that a lot of people can relate to. And I loved hearing Marilyn's perspective on it.
Yeah, well, I loved what you said. I mean, not to go too deep, but I remember I was watching and I loved what you said about how having something to do with your body and your hands that's separate from your mind and is grounded in reality can actually help you not disassociate. I was like, it was amazing because I craft to keep calm. So everybody check out that chat. It was super interesting. And anytime, Cassie Marie, that you talk about your psychic prophetess, like that you were a Christian psychic going up to people in Walmart and telling them what they should do with their godly lives, I am there for it. Just so you know, I am there for it.
I love it. I know. I'm like, I think I told Marilyn after that's actually one of the first times I've so publicly told my story. I haven't even told a ton of that on my TikTok.
Am
I've
I
told
calling
like
you
my
out right
business
now?
coaching.
Sorry.
Huh?
Am I calling you out right now?
No, because like I went public on like Marilyn's channel and stuff. But I think my content for a long time was like what I was learning as I was deconstructing from like all the cult stuff. And I was pointing to like a lot of other experts and telling all these other stories and sharing the rabbit holes that I would go down, my ADHD hyperfixations. I didn't talk about myself as much, but I think it's time. Like I think this is just the perfect format and it's the perfect time, and it is super interesting and it's super wild, and I think I'm finally ready. But that was like one of the first times that I've like kind of gone through like the whole thread of like how I got to making cult content. So it
I'm
was really
proud of
cool.
you. I'm proud of you. I know from personal experience that that can be a big day, a big thing. So good
Yeah,
job.
it definitely is.
Awesome.
Okay. So another thing that I saw was Blown for Good
Okay.
posted episode 14 of their Where is Shelly Miscavige series. I don't know if you've seen
I
Claire and Mark
haven't
have been
I have not seen their series. Tell me, catch me up.
Oh my gosh, they're on like episode 14, so there's a lot to catch up on. But
Okay.
they did like a trailer for it a while ago and they've been like slowly rolling out the
Yes.
episodes. But they've basically been doing just like a mega deep dive on the Shelley of it all and getting like
Wow.
all different kinds of perspectives from all different kinds of people that knew her, people that worked with her. They've had some like cool guests on as well. So that's the latest in that series has dropped and it looks really interesting. I watched the first couple of episodes and I have to catch up as well, but I highly recommend. I love Mark and Claire, honestly.
I need
Like, I just think
50
they're great.
hours a day. I need 50 hours in my day.
Oh, same.
That's how I feel. I watch a lot of stuff
Yeah.
on 2X, but going back to those calls with Reese, I couldn't listen to those on 2X. They were too
Yeah.
fast. So, I definitely will go back and check. Now, tell me this. What's the overall vibe with the Shelley, these 14 episodes? Like your perception, is it like Shelley the victim, Shelley is hiding? Is it like Shelley's a complicated woman, we want to know where she is? Or is it like Shelley is culpable of crimes? Like, where are we at?
I think they include all of it, and that's why I like it. So they're
Oh,
including I think
okay.
they're being very nuanced because they're allowed to share so much, because
Okay.
they're doing so many parts. It
Right.
really is like a mega, mega deep dive. So
Got
I
it.
feel like they're being like very nuanced with it, like very much approaching it from all angles. I think everybody like
Okay.
involved with the Shelley of it all feels a little bit different about it. So I think
Mhm.
they're getting like very much like everyone's opinion,
Yeah.
that were as
Good.
close to her as possible that like they have contacts with, and I think it's really fascinating.
Okay, that sounds like an endorsement. I'm in. I get a little, you know me, I get a little
I think
tired
it's
of the
pretty
like,
good.
oh, just that blanket, like where's Shelly? A deep dive? I'm in. I'm in. And
Yeah.
it looks
Yeah.
like somebody had posted here. I just had it up on the screen. It was Trevinon that Claire's done. She could write a biography. She should. She should.
Yeah. I
That'd
think
be
she should too.
fascinating.
Someone
Yeah.
else wants to do the Shelley deep dive on they upload to. So if people are sick of their eyeballs on YouTube, then you can do Mark
Oh,
and Claire's Blown for Good podcast and just listen to it like while you're doing other things.
I identify with that statement. My eyes are blown from YouTube.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, that's exciting. I'll have to
Okay.
check that out. By the way, Claire posted on her Facebook page, we're like personal friends on Facebook, that she got my book and she's gonna have me on for a little thingamabob.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
That
So
is
anyway,
so exciting.
yes.
I love that. I can't wait to watch that. Okay, just a couple more things from the
Take,
SPTV wrap
yeah,
up.
take your time. I'm loving it.
Degraded Daughters
Mhm.
just released merch this week.
That's
They had
right.
they had one live video this week, I think they did with Liz Ferris, but
Mhm.
they dropped merch and it's cool. So everybody go check out Degraded Daughters and see what they've got for
Should
their
we see
merch
what it
line.
looks like? Should I pull it up?
Well, yeah, can you pull it up? That's a good
Maybe.
idea.
Don't look at my concentration face, you guys. You know that I'm. Let's see. Is it under store? Do they have a store? About? It's
Yeah.
not easy enough to
Just while
find.
you're doing that really quick, I wanted to read this comment that says Claire is also going to be doing videos about other missing Scientologists. So
Oh,
she's kind of kicking off probably with the Where is Shelly Miscavige, but she's very much wanting to deep dive into other missing people. And hopefully people will
good,
care as much about
good.
that as they do about the Shelly of it all.
Right. It was not easy enough to find the Degraded
Oh
Daughters
no.
merch. So I don't have it up here. I know I could keep looking, but I'm just gonna text them immediately and say, make your merch easier to find, ladies. That's what I'm gonna say.
We'll find a link and I'll put it in my description for sure.
For sure.
We'll
That'd be a
we'll
good idea.
update that after.
I'd like
Yep.
to I'd like to get some. I got to take my kids back to school shopping. So no merch for me right now. I love you, but that's not going to happen. Love you to death. All right.
Yeah, after the back to school stuff. Okay, last thing before our big story, the biggest news of the week. Aaron Smith-Levin does have a Leah Remini lawsuit update on growing up in Scientology.
Yes.
Just a couple, it was a short video. It was just a couple of things about the new judge and new dates. And then Leah, my cute mic. Thanks, Marilyn.
I'm just distracting you with cute comments.
And David Miscavige has been served at the addresses they have for him. We don't know if he has accepted service because, there's that whole thing about David Miscavige being missing and never accepting being served for anything.
Right.
So Leah did serve, her team did serve him at 2 different addresses that apparently are the same address. It's a whole thing. Go watch Aaron's video, but there are updates on the lawsuit.
It's nice that they've already gone through this once with another lawsuit that basically, that it's established that David Miscavige is going to run away. And so I'm hoping that judges deem him served a little bit earlier on instead of 27 times over 4 months. Maybe it's 1 month, 15 times. And the judge is just like, good sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're denying you've been served because you've been served. Just take it. Just accept the service.
Right.
So that leads into the big story this week, the thing everyone was talking about. We were all freaking out. Do you want to take it away, Liz?
I mean, I suppose I'll put this up here. It was Jenna Miscavige. Now, listen, I'm going to work really hard to get the Hill out of there. She is on YouTube as Jenna Miscavige. The Hill is the other name. She wrote her book as Jenna Miscavige Hill, but now she's around as Jenna Miscavige. So I'm going to do my best to name drop her correctly. But it was fascinating. It was a 3-hour live. I don't know who caught all of it. A lot of answers for, I think, questions that people who love her and read her book were just dying to know, like, where have you been, girl? What have you been up to? Did Scientology get to you? Is that why you fell off? I, in particular, was just riveted by so much she was saying because when she first started, she was explaining how she had a lot of different pulls on her, and it wasn't just like this happy story at the end of the day about how she wrote her book and she exposed Scientology. She had a lot of fallout in her life that sort of continued not on like a small, like an interpersonal relationship in her family. And I just really felt for her. I just, at the end of that live, I just wanted her to be whoever the freak she wants to be. I wanted to live her best life. And I just also, like you were saying, I'm so curious about what's going in that art shop. That looks like an art studio to both of us.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say her background looks like some kind of art shop, art business. You know how we are with the crafts and the art. I'm looking at like the flowers hanging and it looks like those drawers are for like prints and she's got a cool printer behind her. And I'm like, what are you doing in there, Jenna?
Yeah, I know. That's how I feel the same way. I'm just like, what you making? And I realize that's something that is less, I suppose, silly than I had thought. Like in the past, I'm like, oh, crafting. And now I'm really coming to value it, art and crafting. Where's the line? Where's the line between art and crafting? I'm not really sure. But yeah, whatever you're making, we're all
I like the word art. I call it all art. I think we are all doing art all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope that she felt really welcomed by the SPTV community. I can only imagine she did, getting almost 10,000 subscribers virtually overnight. Like that feels nice. That always feels good, especially if you're not sure or you're feeling, a little sketchy about it. So what were your thoughts on what she said?
I hope she warms up and feels welcome. And I hope we're all anticipating what else she has to say, what she wants to share. So I think we're all super, super excited.
Oh yeah. And it looks like I have to move us so that we can look at this comment. There we go. Trevenon says that their interview has been watched over 80,000 times. That does not surprise me because she is a power hitter. I mean, her name alone, and it's not just her name. She wrote a fascinating book. Look, it's right here. I like to delude myself into thinking that I've made it, and so I put my book next to her book. And I don't mean made it in a publishing sense.
You have.
Well, yeah. I mean, made it in like a I don't know, like, she inspired me to even write my book, and that was 10 years ago. I got in so much trouble for
Mhm.
posting on Facebook that I was gonna read her book. So, for me, again, these
Yeah.
full circle moments where I'm like, "Wow," like, we're all I don't know, just feels good. I feel great about it. I don't know how everybody else was feeling about it, but I thought
Yeah.
it was great. Awesome.
That's amazing.
Um,
I feel
let's
good
see
about it.
here.
I'm excited.
Me too. Look at this. Lumi Dawa.
Oh, yay!
I've never gotten that is the cutest looking cat. Now, I cannot tell if that cat in her picture is grumpy or happy. It's so cute. I love it. Thank you
So
so much,
cute.
Lumi Dawa. That's a cool name. Um, thank you.
Mhm.
So, Cass and I were gonna also play a game. Is that all the SPTV, by the way?
Say what? Sorry.
Was that all the SPTV roundup?
Yeah, I think I glitched out for a second, sorry. Yes, that was all the SPTV updates. We can move on to telling each other our surprise stories if you want.
I want to. Do you wanna explain to people what big fat dorks we are and what we're doing?
Yes. Yep. So we thought it would be fun as we wrap up the SPTV news of the week to also find like other culty stories from the week and surprise each other with the stories that we found and just tell each other and all of you guys about it. So neither one of us knows what the other one picked. It will be really funny if we pick the same thing, but I don't think we did. It might be Scientology, it might be some other cult related, but we're just gonna share our weekly culty news stories with each other. Do you want to go first
I
or do you
love
want me to
it.
go first?
Um, I will go first, and then you can pull up. We'll have to figure out how we'll do this
Oh, yeah.
technically. Okay, I will go first. I have. Okay, I'm gonna do my best to explain this. Have you heard about this? Let's see. All right, this is a creator on YouTube. You can see he has 1.86 million subscribers. His whole thing is about right
Wow.
to repair. So the right to repair, and again, like I am just learning about this, is there's this movement that's basically trying to get people to. Should I be sharing that screen? Hope there's nothing on there. Um, now I'm nervous. All right. But listen, right to repair means like if you get an electronics, um, you can fix it at home. Now, there are end user agreements
Mhm.
that say like you can't fix your own Apple phone. You're not allowed to, right? And there's certain things that you're technically not allowed to repair. You have to send them back to the manufacturer. So there's a big pushback about this act to try
Mhm.
and get things to get the verbiage right so people have a right to repair their own products that they buy and they have at home. Scientology
Yes. Okay.
has
Yeah.
entered the chat. Scientology, yeah, wrote a letter in favor of the stricter rules, saying that, okay, this guy's going to explain it so much stinking better than me. He is like, that's why I have his thing pulled up here. He is like,
Okay.
nope, hold on. He is like the expert. So he did like they're gonna catch some heat because what Scientology is saying is they have a particular technological item. It's the e-meter. And they don't want anybody to
Right.
be able to open it up and fix it. They want them to have to send it back. They want to be in control of it.
Oh,
So they're on the wrong side of
yeah.
history. Let me share this screen. We'll just watch this 1 minute of what this guy says is so much better than me, you guys. Clearly, I'm not
Okay.
the end of the road here. He is commenting. Okay, can you see this? This is the guy Lewis, and he's reading from
Okay.
Scientology's letter, and I kind of have it queued up here where it'll make a little bit more sense. Ready?
Let me repeat that.
Okay.
They are opposing an exemption that are contained in and control the functioning of a lawfully acquired device, meaning that you bought it, you paid for it, you own it, that is primarily designed for use by consumers. Again, we're not talking about medical devices, we're not talking about pacemakers, we're not talking about heavy industrial equipment. We're talking about your Xbox here. When circumvention
An
is a
e-meter.
necessary step to allow the diagnosis, maintenance, or repair of such a device and is not accomplished for the purpose of gaining access to other copyrighted works. Literally, let's make this device work again. The bare minimum necessary to break a digital lock so that you can make.
Okay. Oh, how do I get him
Okay.
out of here? Oh, I'm watching him over here. So his whole thing is not about e-meters. He doesn't care about e-meters, right? What he cares about is the
Yeah.
right to repair. And Scientology is opposing the right to repair. Scientology does not want consumers to be able
course.
to repair their own
Yeah.
electronics, because that means we would open up their e-meter and see how it works, basically.
Right.
So this is my news story of the week, Cassie Marie, because I think that they're going to get a lot of heat for this. Like, they've opened a whole new playing field. They're not just in politics, but they're like in this like open source technological community that are not having it. What do you think?
I hope they get ripped to shreds over this. I hope the tech community gets wind of this, and like I hope somebody in the tech community is also in the culty community and like understands Scientology, and
Yeah.
I hope they just get torn to shreds.
I hope so too.
over opposing it.
It reminds me of the
That would
early
be
days of Anonymous, right? Because in 2008, Anonymous attacked Scientology so hardcore. Did you ever watch
Yeah.
that video that they put up? It was like, we are
I
Anonymous.
think I've
We
seen
never
parts of
forget. We
it.
are Legion. We will take your asses
Yeah,
down.
I've seen parts of it, but I don't know if I've seen the whole thing.
Ooh, we could probably react to it at the end of this. It's like a 2-minute
Ooh,
video.
maybe we should.
Anyway, like, they got slaughtered. Scientology got slaughtered because it was the same kind of thing, like freedom of speech, freedom, your rights. And like we all know, Scientology just literally will align themselves with whoever they need to keep their damn secrets at the
Yeah.
harm of the general public.
Yep.
So
They always will.
always.
Our
in my opinion.
TikTok friend Ryan is on here, and she asked, do we know what an e-meter is? Do you want to explain what an e-meter is really quick in case we have
Yes.
some TikTok culty friends that don't know?
Let me do this if I can, because I feel like I pulled it up. There goes my face again. There's going to be, hold on. I have it here. Here we go. So this is an e-meter. This is, can you see this? This is this is the old one. This is the new one. Old meaning like pre-90s era, I want to say. An e-meter is technically considered a religious artifact. Those cans there, those cylinders are made out of metal. Now you each take one of those cans into your hand. The wire makes a continuous electronic circuit through your body. You don't feel it, but the little dial there is going to read back and forth. And as this machine pumps this teeny tiny current of electricity through you, in their beliefs, it counteracts with your spiritual body and the mass, like of the physicality of your emotions, and comes back and gives you a reading on the meter. This is an artifact where, like, you don't even have to say anything. You don't have to even speak. Someone can ask you a question like, what's your favorite juice? Is it orange juice? Is it apple juice? Is it milk? Is it water? And they stop when your needle moves. So it's not even like you have to be participating other than holding it. This is what they're trying to protect. This is what they don't want people to see. But it's like, look, it's all right here. If I play this video, this guy just takes one apart. Let's see. Like, it's just a bunch of wires and stuff. This is what they don't want.
So people have already taken it apart, and
yeah, this is a video on YouTube that has these people have like 27,000 followers or whatever. So I'm not really sure what they're trying to do other than further isolate the people who already are in Scientology, right?
Yeah, and like I wonder if it's just because they do money grabs like that all the time. Like I wonder, do you have to pay Scientology to fix your e-meter?
Oh yeah, and
because
they're
like
so
isn't
expensive.
yeah,
they're
so like that's
like
what that's what they
$5,000.
want, right? Because like you can't like so that's the issue with a lot of technology. Like I can't just fix my iPhone at home. Like you have to, they're assembled by children.
They are.
Like you have to take it into like the Apple store to like do anything, and it's really hard to get a hold of parts, and it's really hard to like do that. So my understanding of what they're trying to do is to just make it easier and make it allowed that people can fix their broken devices at home without having to pay a ton to the original company who's the only person that has the parts. So I would assume that Scientology also is just from a money perspective is like, no, No, you can't do that. You have to pay us.
We don't want you,
You have
to
to pay
we
us.
don't want to share.
Yeah. You have to pay us $50,000 for the e-meter, and you have to pay us $5,000 every time it breaks. And you have
Well,
to.
and doesn't this demystify it a bit too? Like,
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
that's the other thing is once you come to
Yeah.
realize what it actually does and what it works, I think some questions are raised as to like how that really works from a spiritual perspective.
Is there a belief in Scientology? Is there like a spiritual belief behind the e-meter? Like, do you
Oh,
think it is
yes.
reading your energy, or do you think that like the
Yes.
e-meter itself is like a spiritual thing that
No.
is detecting spiritual stuff?
Great question. The e-meter is just a device. It's just a
Okay.
technological like reader. What it is to believe to be reading is your actual spiritual mass. Like the energy
Okay.
that is actually created by your spirit into the physical universe through your body. So,
Yeah.
like I said, when they're training even to be an auditor, one of the things that you're training to do is to make your voice impinge on the other person to go past their subconscious mind to get a reading on the e-meter. So there are literal
Yeah.
things where they would give you a list and you wouldn't say anything and they just wait for that meter to move. What they are reading in their minds and beliefs is that your spiritual energy is hung up on a concept, right? So
Okay.
if I'm like, is it milk and your needle moves, so it's measuring your spiritual reaction to something. Does that make sense? It's kind of
Yeah.
weird. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. Yeah. I would assume there are a lot of reasons why. Scientology is secretive and they want to control everything. So,
Right.
like, even beyond like the effects of this, I think they just don't want anybody to be able to do anything with any of their stuff. They're very possessive, Scientology.
They are possessive. And I learned a new term actually when I was doing this, that is an
Yeah.
EULA, is the end user license agreement. And that little checkbox that we all sign, we're like, do you accept these terms? That's on everything.
Mhm.
And they have a specific
Yeah.
thing on their e-meter that if you buy one from them, like, you're not supposed to sell it on eBay. You're not supposed to do anything with it except for return it to them if you don't want it
Right.
for free. So that was my
Yeah.
story. What do you think?
That's a good story. I think that's fascinating.
That was my
I
surprise
love
story.
it.
Awesome.
Okay. Let me see if I can pull up my thing for my story. I should be able to do it easily.
If we keep doing this, I swear we're
Window.
going to have the same story one day. I just know it.
We probably will.
I can just feel it.
I'm sure. Okay. Do you want to add that for me to the
Yep, we're ready
stream?
to go as it is.
Yes.
Okay.
You can see the other things that my kids and I watch on the side there, but that's fine. Um, so mine is not Scientology related. I
Okay.
wanted to talk about Allison Stoner. Allison Stoner's pronouns are they, them. So if you're wondering
Okay.
why I keep saying they, that's why.
Okay.
Allison Stoner was a child star. She was a dancer. She was a really great dancer in like the early 2000s, and she was in a Missy Elliott video as a little girl. And then she was like a Disney Channel star, and she was in like Cheaper by the Dozen and lots of Disney shows, lots of different Disney movies. She was in like Camp Rock,
Okay.
all kinds of things like that. So they made a video series on their YouTube channel called Dear Hollywood, where they have talked to a ton of child stars about their experience in Hollywood as a child star and the kind of negative effects that that's had on their life. They actually did an op-ed piece a while ago.
Huh.
I can't remember what magazine or publication they did it for, but they called it the toddler to train wreck pipeline,
Oh
where they
boy.
kind of talked about child stars and what that does to a person and why we as a society are so critical of all these child stars that have to go to rehab. And a lot of them, unfortunately, I'm going to say it this way because of YouTube and monetization, but
Uh-huh.
unfortunately they unalive themselves at its worst. But there's almost always some kind of rehab or going off the wall issue. And Allison describes why she thinks that is. And it is like, I'm sorry, why they think that is.
Mhm.
And it's so similar. It's so culty. I have said that the cult of child stars is such a thing. And when Allison and Christy Carlson Romano, who was on Even Stevens, she was Ren on Even Stevens, she was in a
Okay.
couple Disney movies, they did a podcast together, both talking about life after child stardom. And it sounded to me like cult survivors sharing their stories. It sounded so similar to like Scientologists talking about what happens when they leave. Jeanette McCurdy, who was on iCarly and Cat and Sam on Nickelodeon,
Okay.
wrote a memoir. I can't remember what her memoir was called.
Was
but
it about
she
her
also
mom?
had, yeah, it was about her mom.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think it's
That was
called
like a
I'm
big
Glad
part of
My
it.
Mom Is Dead. I'm pretty sure her
Yes, that's
memoir
right.
is
I was
called
like, something about
Yeah.
her mom not being
Yeah.
alive. Jeanette McCurdy had the worst situation because her mother was awful.
Right.
I really want to read her book.
I
But
need to too.
Allison is taking like a lot of these stories. She actually got a panel together of child stars that she's not even
Oh.
like she won't name all of them, and asked them a lot of questions about their childhood and life after child stardom and
Oh.
all this stuff. And she's compiled it into this YouTube series and podcast. And they're sharing what they think leads to this. And this week's episode, they come out every Friday. This week's episode and last week's episode were particularly culty.
Okay.
Listening to Allison discuss these, it was just sounded so much like there were even some Scientology things that I was like, wow. Oh, this was the one specific thing that I wanted to tell you. They said that there is a version of yourself when you're a child star that is your performer self, your people pleasing self, your like outward appearance self, and it's very different from your authentic self. And you don't really get to develop an authentic self as a child star because you're always being seen and you're always being asked for your autograph and you're always being perceived and judged.
Right.
And you have to look good for producers and cameras. And
Right.
Stephen Hassan talks about that in his books in Combating Cult Mind Control and Freedom of Mind, that there is a cult self and an authentic self. And he
Oh,
says that
yeah.
even when you're born into a cult, there is a cult self and an authentic self. And sometimes it's harder when you're born in to find the authentic self after you leave because you didn't get to explore that before you were in.
Yes.
But there's still a cult self and an authentic self. And she like went into detail about
Wow.
how child stars don't get to develop their authentic self. And I was like, it's so culty. She's on like episode 4
Okay.
at this point, and it's amazing.
Allison Stoner right here. And it's just her name, right? Allison
Yep.
Stoner. Awesome. That's so exciting that's such a topic that it's like you have to have a whole set of generation go through it and then process it and then be able to talk about it from their personal
Yep.
experience. That's like how a lot of cults are too. It takes like a survivor of that situation then to educate the rest of the world. So good for her. That's exciting.
Yeah. Yes.
Good story.
I'm glad. I'm excited to hear. I think she has a lot of content. And they're really digestible videos.
Okay.
So they have them at like 20 minutes long for each one. I wish they would like release them all so I can binge watch all of them at one time. But for now, I will just have to handle them releasing one a week.
Right. Oh, I'll catch up on that for sure. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, then, should we share our last story, our good news story?
Yeah.
All right. We decided that we always want to end on a positive note. We always want to end on I don't know, something good. So it's my turn for the positive story. Here we go. Let me share my screen. Can you see it?
It's loading for me. I think. Yeah. Okay. I see it.
Okay. This is my happy story because I saw in the New York Times, it is a guest essay, which doesn't necessarily mean it stands for what New York Times is standing for, but it's all about, quote, this drug holds promise for cult survivors, and they're talking about using ketamine in therapy for complex PTSD and, all the quote cult survivor issues that
Mhm.
people end up having. And I was really impressed with it because they talked a lot. They talked a lot about how psilocybin and MDMA have already been used. Excuse me. Um, in these new budding theories, and I'm in the state of
Mhm.
Oregon, and we are like psilocybin has actually been like decriminalized here, and some studies have come
I love that.
about in our universities about how to use that with particularly veterans, I think, that have had
Mhm.
like really terrible experiences and have intense PTSD. So I just thought it was really interesting that this is making it far more into the mainstream. Um, I'm not a doctor or a scientist, as I'm sure is clearly obvious. So I don't know all the ins and outs, and I'm certainly not recommending anything. I think it's really great to see real studies in the real world being done to help cult survivors and to help like Hollywood children star survivors, that there might be some money and some focus being put into these alternatives that I think a lot of us survivors have been saying sort of work. Like I think on the fringes,
Mhm.
we're like, there's something here, there's something here. It'd be really nice to have that explored in a professional, scientific manner to be applied to people who might not otherwise ever be open to accepting MDMA or ketamine or psychedelics.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when it's done in a controlled environment, perhaps through a pharmaceutical that's very regulated, sometimes it can just reach further. So that was my good news. That was my good news of the day.
I love it. I follow a couple
Week.
of therapists on Instagram,
Okay.
and one of them shares her journey with depression, and she's done ketamine treatments for depression. And she's
Oh,
talked a lot about how ketamine and psilocybin and MDMA are being used more and more to
right.
treat trauma specifically,
Yes.
and treatment resistant depression, I think, is also what is approved for ketamine treatments. I
Right.
find it all super fascinating, and I love that places are starting to decriminalize it in a way that is really helpful. And I find the reason that it works on your brain so fascinating. I've done like the
Yeah.
babiest amount of research into psilocybin, and
Mhm.
it makes your neural pathways like moldable. Like it helps your neurons like it breaks the connections easier and makes them connect to like new ideas easier. And
Right.
our brains are wild. I find
Yeah.
that to be the coolest thing ever.
I think so too. I think back about when somebody told me when I was a little kid that like we're only using 10% of our brain capacity or something. And I do think
Mhm.
that, there are some substances out there that do seem to create a firing in your brain that's a little different. There's a comment here that I
Mhm.
actually want to talk about real quick though. Ketamine sounds scary though. How about the effects of Mary Jane on cult survivors? So I know these
Mhm.
things do sometimes sound scary, which is why I'm happy to see it in a publication like New York Times and sort of going down the scientific route. Even with the cannabis industry, say in Oregon, back in the day, somebody might offer you a cannabis brownie and you literally you're not going to know what's going to hit you. It could be strong, it could be weak. So there's a regulatory thing that happens when you enter the scientific
Mhm.
realm where it can be very, it's just not as scary because there's so much research, I think, that can go
Right.
into something like that. So I am in no way saying jump out there on the whole K train, but I think it's
Right.
really great, great that
Yeah.
this is new stuff.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that when we're talking about it from a medical perspective, that these treatments are being done under the supervision of medical professionals and therapists.
Yes.
So they don't like recommend ketamine or psilocybin to just take recreationally.
Right.
I have opinions on that, like my own opinions on that. But when they're
Hmm.
talking about it from this research
Right.
perspective, you are under the supervision of medical professionals the whole time.
Yes.
Like the
Yes.
therapist that I follow, she goes to a facility to get the ketamine treatments.
Yes.
And they're done as like injections, and she stays there for the whole treatment, and they monitor her and they give her different like exercises and different things that she can do. So it's only at like it would be something that's recommended by your therapist. It would be something that they monitor along with like the ketamine professionals. Like there's a lot that goes into this. It's not necessarily just, hey, get on the MDMA train or get on the psilocybin train, see if it works for you. There's like a lot that goes into it.
Well put. Well, I mean, I guess we don't have. Oh, we've got some comments here. I wanted to. Are you guys okay? Are you okay with that? Do we have time? Let's see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's read some comments.
Okay. Tiff asks, "Are we going to do a book club?" Yes. And I am actually really thinking about this quite a bit. I want to take this seriously, you guys. I want to do a book club, and I want to do it maybe in like a members type situation so that we can kind of cap it. And it's like a proper book club where we can like meet up and we can have like a chat about it, and we can do maybe one book a month or something like that. So if anybody's interested in that, let me know, because I'd really think that'd be cool. And then we can ask also the authors if they want to have some participation that month. I think there's something there that we could really do.
Mm-hmm.
Guruvor said, too bad Doug didn't make it on. And I just wanted to say that he and I have chatted, and we'll do a redo. We'll make it up. No worries. Tiff says when they ordered my book, it said bestseller. I know I didn't know this was a thing, but I got like 3 of my other author friends message me. They're like, you got the orange banner. And I was like, what's that? And I guess that's on Amazon when it says bestseller. They're like, screenshot that quick.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Right? Gregory says, good to see you, Liz. I have been seeing your new channel after you on Erin's channel, which I've been a subscriber for a while now. I just want to say hi, Gregory. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Did many people from when I was in Scientology reach out about the book? Nobody really that's not. No. No comment. Serge is the best, and we'll get him around here
Serge
too.
is.
Yeah. Marilyn says, so proud of you, Cassie. Thank you for sharing. It gets easier.
Thanks, Marilyn.
Yep. And we saw that one. Let's see. An e-meter is basically an meter. I used one a lot in the Navy. You can buy one at Harbor Freight for less than $20. Yeah, well.
I love that.
Tell Scientology that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Hey there.
Aww.
Just want to say hello to Cassie Marie. Always love seeing you. Tiff approves of my story, so I feel good about that. Thank you. Let's see.
Good.
Just a couple more here. Having a thought and trying to hide it from the meter, and suddenly hearing what was that thought? Almost always on cue. It's trippy, but also many times I would feel like it's not working. I just wanted to address this because it sounds like, Leo, you have personal experience similar to what I have. And it is true that you'll get asked a question, particularly in a confessional, right? So say the question is, have you ever bombed a planet? That's a real question on a real Scientology list. That's a confessional. Of course, they're asking about your past life. And so you're not going to be able to sit there and be like, yeah, because you don't remember anyway. I mean, in that thinking. So it would be like, if your needle moved, it'd be like, what was that? What was that thought? And then you end up going down that rabbit hole. So yeah, I don't know what you did, Leo, but I used to like imagine myself like in kind of a field. It's very cliche. I probably saw it in a movie once, but like wildflowers, field, grass, breeze.
The calm meadow.
Yeah, that's where I went. Let's see. Elle heard that Reese has more phone calls. I'm not surprised.
Wow.
I think they were really trying to get her there. Let's see. Marilyn says, right, Liz. I'm glad there are studies being done for cult survivors. It feels validating. It does. I agree. Do you think so?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's the end. If you would like to follow Miss Cassie Marie, she's all over the place. I feel like it'd be helpful if you had one @ tag, my friends. But I know.
TikTok, I probably should change them all.
They're There's so many things I should do, but we'll get there. On TikTok, I don't know if you know this about my girl here, but she has like over 80,000 followers. 80,000 followers on TikTok. So,
And Paris Hilton follows me on TikTok. Did you know that?
I did not. That is so exciting. That's funny you say that because Paris Hilton has really earned my respect. Like as a celebrity and a
Same.
human being. And I remember I grew up watching her on the Simple, what was it called? Simple, I don't know, that road trip where her
The
and
Simple Life.
The Simple Life. And she was
Mhm.
like, what's a fish? And like, what's Walmart? And all this dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? I was like, you're so stupid. I was 14, living on my own, just like trying to figure my shit out. And I'm like, damn you, Paris
Yeah.
Hilton. But she's really come around. She's a huge activist for the troubled teen
Mhm.
advocacy.
Yep, that's why she followed me, because I did some Met Gala videos about
Yes.
former cult members, and I mentioned her as a former cult member, not a cult that she chose to join, one that she was
Right.
literally kidnapped into, which to me is
Right.
very similar to being born into it, like you didn't choose it, but former
Right.
cult member nonetheless. And I got a lot of backlash because people love her and are very protective of her. I don't
Mhm.
know what was going on in the air when I was posting those Met Gala videos, but people did not like the word cult member at all. I had to make videos being like, that's not what I mean. So I made a video about Paris and I'm like, guys, I love Paris. Like, she is a victim and she's doing
Yeah.
amazing work advocating for this and talking
Yep.
about it and using her voice and her platform to bring awareness. Like, I love her, please.
Yeah.
She liked the video and commented on it and was like, hey, thanks, and followed me. It was the coolest
That's
thing
so
ever.
exciting. That's so exciting. I'm glad for you. I'm
Yeah.
a little jealous. Good job. That's actually a conversation that I think will emerge more. It's not really my story to tell, but I know a couple, 3 people at least, who were sent to
Mhm.
Scientology's like worst school, like the ranch, the Mace
Mhm.
Kingsley ranch. I wouldn't even call it a school, but like it's the Scientology version of boot camp.
Right.
And you for any infraction, it's up to your parents what you did to send you there. Like I know people who got sent there just because they were like not really towing the line, and then other people were like really acting out. So I know
Mhm.
multiple people who actually were kidnapped from their own home, paid for by their parents, were literally woken up early morning, packed their bag for them, take them to the airport, physically restrain them from leaving with
Mhm.
the consent of their parents. So anyway,
Yep.
I'd love to see Scientology's some of these old programs called back to light, because it doesn't matter to me if those programs don't exist anymore, because the concepts that got them there still exist. So
Yep.
they're still playing by the same
Yes.
game. This
Yep.
is totally crazy and last minute, but do you want to watch the like 2-minute anonymous attack on Scientology
Yeah, let's watch it.
video before we go? Okay, here, I'll just pull
Let's
it up
do
real
it.
quick.
While you are pulling that up, if anybody is watching on my channel, or if you're from TikTok or whatever, at Liz Gale, follow Liz. She has the same handle on TikTok and YouTube, which is probably helpful. Mine is at No Culty Vibes on YouTube. I have No Culty Vibes podcast, but on Instagram and TikTok, I'm at @Cassie Marie. So would love for you guys to follow both of us all of the places. Liz, did you disappear so we don't have to see your concentration face?
Yes, I was trying to spare you guys. Oh my God, I was really
Like, you left me up
concentrating.
here
I
by
was
myself.
really. I think I found it though. I was
Okay.
focused there. I still am a little bit. Hold on, here it is. Okay, I have to get this to the beginning. Now, I just have to tell you that when I was still in Scientology, this came out, and it was one of the most terrifying things I had ever heard. Like, I was scared. I think I was shaking, literally shaking
Yeah.
after I saw this video. And I was like, what's going to happen? I was really scared. And then I went into Scientology and they gave me this whole like dead agent pack, which was like all these papers about how Anonymous was terrible. And like it didn't make me feel better because I was like, they're so powerful.
Yeah.
You guys have no idea what
Yeah.
you're doing. I was so scared. Okay. And on this note, This is a gem we might not have seen. If I do this, does that help? All right, here we go. Let's see who remembers this. It's 2 minutes long. Oh, it's muted. That's not
Watching you.
helpful.
You're-
There we go.
Hello, leaders of Scientology. We are anonymous. Over the years, we have been watching you, your campaigns of misinformation, your suppression of dissent, your litigious nature. All of these things have caught our eye. With the leakage of your latest propaganda video into mainstream circulation, the extent of your malign influence over those who have come to trust you as leaders has been made clear to us. Anonymous has therefore decided that your organization should be destroyed. For the good of your followers, for the good of mankind, and for our own enjoyment, we shall proceed to expel you from the internet and systematically dismantle the Church of Scientology in its present form. We recognize you as serious opponents, and do not expect our campaign to be completed in a short time frame. However, you will not prevail forever against the angry masses of the body politic. Your choice of methods, your hypocrisy, and the general artlessness of your organization have sounded its death knell. You have nowhere to hide. Because we are everywhere. You will find no recourse in attack. Because for each of us that falls, 10 more will take his place. We are cognizant of the many who may decry our methods as parallel to those of the Church of Scientology. Those who espouse the obvious truth that your organization will use the actions of Anonymous as an example of the persecution of which you have for so long warned your followers. This is acceptable to Anonymous. In fact, it is encouraged. We are your SPs. Over time, as we begin to merge our pulse with that of your church, the suppression of your followers will become increasingly difficult to maintain. Believers will become aware that salvation needn't come at the expense of their livelihood. They will become aware that the stress and the frustration that they feel is not due to us, but a source much closer to them. Yes, we are SPs, but the sum of suppression we could ever muster is eclipsed by that of your own RTC. Knowledge is free. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
Oh my God, I've got chills. It's been like a decade since
Whoa.
I've seen that. I literally have goosebumps. And I remember being so scared, but now I'm on their side and I'm like, go, 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 go. Where you at,
Get 'em,
Anonymous?
Anonymous.
Where are you
That's
at?
amazing.
We need a revival because this whole right to repair thing. Come on, Anonymous.
Uh-huh.
Let's go.
I bet that'll get Anonymous's attention. I have a nemesis that doesn't know I exist. Sean Foyt. He's a Christian nationalist, and he
Okay.
is part of a lot of the churches that I went to. I know people that know him, and he's like very famous, and can't stand the guy. And
Oh.
Anonymous took him on Twitter a few
Ooh.
months ago, and I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
dig up all his dirt, Anonymous. Get him.
Get him. I know.
Air it out.
And isn't that funny? Like, to me, that almost is, it's such a sign of like a weird dystopian society. Like, I'm literally
yeah.
rooting for like a guy in a mask, a collective of individuals in masks
Yeah.
to
A
like
vigilante collective for
that's
justice.
where we're at. That's where we're
That's
at.
wild.
Can I get
Yeah.
a village? What do you call it? Villageante? Why am I saying that wrong?
Vigilante.
Vigilante. If I'm gonna speak, I should probably know what I'm saying. But yes, that's what I want. That's amazing.
Yes.
All right. Well, that was a great way to end this. I'm all
Yeah.
fired up.
Same. This was so fun. Thank you guys so much for watching our weekly
Yeah.
wrap up, our culty news.
Absolutely. And I will be popping on later because I have a giveaway later. I had some people, a bunch of people did a quiz on my website, rusticandresourceful.com. I'm cutting it off already, so you're too late. You're too late now, but I'm going to do a drawing of the winners here just after lunch. I forget what time, 1:30 or 2 or something.
I'll be watching.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and let's make a habit of this.
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Bye, folks.
Bye, guys.